To talk more about you and what you've been working on, I read that you were in talks about the Neverwhere movie kind of coming back to life. What can you tell us?
Yes, there's a bunch of, I'm doing a bunch of movie stuff right now, which is kind of odd. The Neverwhere movie came back to life, which was the one thing I've learned about Hollywood, having now done this, been writing movies and doing things since really 1991-ish, is that absolutely nothing I expect to happen ever happens in the way I expect it to happen. It simply doesn't.
That could be a motto for Hollywood.
It really is, or at least for me in Hollywood.
Yeah.
If it happens, it's in a completely unexpected way. If it doesn't happen, it's always in an unexpected way, and you're always wrong whenever you predict something. In 1999, I walked off Neverwhere. The Hensons had it. I was working with the director. I didn't like the director, the direction the director was going in. I'd done 8 drafts, and I said, I'm done. And I walked off, and nobody ever even got to see my 8th draft because the director then took it and rewrote it and sent it out as the 8th draft, which nobody liked. Various other people wrote Neverwhere movies that nobody liked after that. And then last year, somebody asked my agent if they had a copy of the script for Neverwhere, and all they had in their files was my 8th draft that nobody ever got to read because it got rewritten by the director. So, but that was the one they sent out. And suddenly the Henson Company, who kept up their option of getting calls from people saying, we really like this script. And they're going, we don't even have that script in our files. And they showed that script to the Weinsteins. Harvey had loved Neverwhere first time around at Dimension and Miramax, and now was happy to become part of it. So I had to come into New York a day early and go and talk to Harvey at the Weinstein Company and just hear what he wanted for Neverwhere, which really is, as far as I can tell, Neverwhere. They were saying that as far as they're concerned, the novel is their Bible. They just want something that, the trouble with the novel is if you filmed it, you'd have an 8-hour movie, and they'd really like a 1.5 to 2 hour movie, please. So.
And the Coraline movie is in production.
That's in production. It's about halfway done. That'll be out in February 2009. They were going to try and go on limited release for the Oscars in December in LA, but I think they've just said, sod it. There will always be Oscars. And they're now coming out February 2009. It's going to be in 3D where it's available to be in 3D. I've been out to the studio. It's the most, this is the largest stop motion production anyone's ever done. It's 40 sets.
Wow. And
it's being done by Henry Selick, who most famously directed Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And lots of the people think because it has the words Tim Burton in the title, Tim Burton directed Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, but actually it was Henry who took Tim Burton's poem and sketches and turned it into a movie.
That's great. So Sandman's almost 20 years old.
Sandman is. It's 19.5 years old right now.
Wow, getting up there. Do you ever go back and read the earlier stuff?
I hadn't gone back and read the earlier stuff for a long time, and then I had to start working on the absolutes, especially, you know, the first few volumes where we were recoloring, you know, just fixing the coloring job hadn't been great in the first place, and it was done for the paper of the paper stock of 1988, 1989, and now what's been happening is every reprinting, the paper stock gets better and better, and the ink gets brighter and brighter, and the comic looks worse and worse. So one of the things we wanted to do in the absolutes was just completely recolor up to about issue 50.
How do you feel? How does it stand up to you?
I loved it, which was very odd, and found it oddly moving from time to time. I don't think I ever got to read it, nor ever will, for the first time.
Right.
But it was really, I was less embarrassed than I thought I would be. You know, it's very strange because I look at the first 8 issues and I can really see myself finding my feet and trying to figure out what I'm doing, and I'm going, okay, I like this genre. And there's a lot of what I'm doing. You have to bear in mind that the first 8 issues are written by somebody who is convinced that this comic will be cancelled at issue 12. Because up until that point, really up until Sandman, critical success and commercial failure were synonyms. You know, a comic that was a critical success was also a commercial failure. That was just how it was going to work.
Do you have any other comic work coming up? Are you itching to get back in?
I'm kind of itching, actually. There's definitely, I'm definitely thinking about doing something. Right now, the 20th anniversary, nearly said the 20th century, the 20th anniversary Sandman comic is actually not written by me.
Oh.
Or it's only sort of written by me. Because it's Craig Russell, P. Craig Russell, had always loved The Dream Hunters, the book that I wrote, the prose book, which Amano illustrated. And back when I first wrote it, he said, could I do this as a comic? And I said, no. We've got the book out there. It's lovely. It's Amano. No. And then about a year ago, Craig and I were talking about other stuff. Actually, he's been doing a Coraline graphic novel for HarperCollins. So he was working on that. And he said, you know, I've always wanted to do, I still want to do that Sandman Dream Hunters as a comic. And I said, you really do? You still want to do it? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, it's probably much, let me go and talk to Karen. And I phoned Karen and I said, what do you think of this? She said, that could be really cool. And we phoned Craig and said, okay, go for it. So he's doing it as 4 comics.
Great.
And it looks amazingly beautiful. And it's really weird reading it because it's sort of like reading a Sandman story that I haven't read before.
That must be exciting.
It's very odd and it's very cool.